Welcome in, YouTube viewers. Thank you for joining us. So we're discussing the Marcus Evans statement. I do wonder, Crunch. Just do you read it as a change in the way he's looking at the way he's an owner? Dear fellow fan, for a start, put me on edge. That's like the time you've cheated on your missus, and you're right. Do you know what I mean? Like, dear honey bunny, dear fellow fan,
trying to get a few points back, brownie points, and it's not washing, is it? As fans, we should not be fucking falling for it, should we?
No, we can't fall for it. Like, for me, I've labelled this show tonight, Marcus Evans brackets no confidence, time to go ? For me, it's a no confidence vote. If this was a board meeting, I'd be saying no confidence in the owner, step aside, because it would just stagnated and gone backwards. And if I'm not being funny, if Coco the Clown turned up with some investment, I'd welcome it. It's like, you can't do any worse, Rich.
No, because I've said before, we've got a new manager, but if Evans stays as the owner, Martin, it'll just be the same old. He'll be working under the same restrictions. We'll get the same sort of players in the building, your Drinnans, your Hawkins. And I've said before, we, as a football club, part one, Paul Lambert went. Part two, Paul Cook's come in. The biggest thing is the owner. He's the one who needs to go. He must know that, Martin. He must know that he's not wanted around there anymore, is he? And he can say, what is it? I see you dropping in, trying to get your... It's obviously because the season tickets are coming up for renewal soon, saying they're losing 175,000 a game. I've read that bit, and it's think, cry me a river, Marcus. I know it's a pandemic, but let's have a look at that rich list. Where was he on there? Inside the top 200?
Richer than the Queen, richer than Simon Cowell. Curtis, welcome in, my man. What do you make of Marcus Evans' latest PR statement?
Listen. I speak as a fan who's only known Ipswich under Evans, and unfortunately, that is a rough time. But listen, I've seen some fans say, "Well, why does it just say no comment or things like that?" He's in a lose-lose situation. He's in a lose-lose. If he doesn't say anything, fans will then say, "Well, he's keeping quiet. He's not giving any transparency to the club." To be fair, he's not giving much now. But he's had to say something regarding the numerous reports that have been around the club at the moment. He's had to say something, but not a lot, due to the NDAs that have been signed.
You see, Curtis, I'm reading it and I'm thinking, is he speaking to me and you, or is he speaking to somebody else? Because it's all about, it's an emotional, like, dear fellow fan, I'm going to put the history on the side of the cobble stand. I'm going to do this. It's like he's almost trying to be all, look at what I'm trying to do for you guys. And, oh, by the way, there's no interest. Bye-bye. Like,
true, but
it's a love letter, isn't it?
Well, the things he mentions, they could be very well what's being mentioned within the talks with the new prospective owners. This development within the ground, this whole, I'm going to put pictures up with the windows. These could all be talks that are going on with the prospective owners. It's things that are just being said to them and just being given off to us. I think the main thing here is that we've got fans now on Twitter who are berating Evans and saying, well, oh, I knew the takeover was false. Let's just rewind time. Why would the well-respected journalist from The Athletic come on a fan podcast to talk about a takeover, which if he knew it was a load of bollocks, why would he waste his night? I'm sure he's got better things to do and report on. Why would he do that? And bearing in mind, this is the same Athletic article that also came out with the news that we were on the verge of appointing Cook. So what are you going to tell me that you believe one section of his article and then you believe that the rest is fake?
That was interesting there, Curtis, the message on screen about Brett Johnson. He's all over liking. Look, he would. It's like Ashley says there. He's an absolute shithouse if there's nothing going on. Look, as they say, don't they? There's no smoke without fire. Come on, like you just said, Matt Slater, respected journalist. He's not going to come on for 45 minutes and talk on our podcast and then nothing happens. I cannot see it. I honestly can't.
Well, let's face it. We have this image of in my opinion, Ipswich are one of the most forgotten about big clubs in England. We are a big club in terms of the history we have. We're not a big club. We're not a big club now. We are an average League One club at the moment with an underperforming squad of players, in my opinion.
If you look like last night, right? Just take the iFollow passes.
Yeah.
So I've contacted the club. I think Martin has before about why can't we see how many we've sold. So the first time, like a new manager comes in, bingo, 5,000 sold. Right, transparency. That's all we've asked for. We haven't heard anything transparent from the last. It's all smoke and mirrors, isn't it, with Marcus?
Oh, definitely. And when Evan says things like, "Well, I'll still be at the club come the end of the season," he very well might be. None of these reports has ever said he will be completely out of the club. They have all said that he will be retaining, albeit a very minor percentage. He will still be retaining a certain percentage within the club. So he very well might be at the club. He's not actually lying to any fans by saying that, but he will be taking a very much a backseat role when it comes to decisions within the boardroom, decisions on the field. He'll be off. All he'll be doing.
Even with the training ground, Curtis, when I was reading on those of the days this morning, you know, this story's about the land, they've done that. Why are they doing that then?
Well, and that's where I find it very convenient how in his latest statement he's not mentioned that at all. And again, this is the reason why. Why would he? Because he can't afford to come out and say it's a case of damage limitation. He can't afford to come out and say, "Oh, well, listen, the takeover is going great," and then say, for example, worst comes to the worst, next week something comes out that it doesn't happen. He can't. It's all about he's got to keep people's feet on the ground. Now, there is an argument as to say whether he needs to mention it at all, but he has to. Otherwise, we'd have fans on his back for not mentioning anything. Like that's where the lose-lose situation comes about. It's and this whole sale of the club, it's not a case of he gets an owner one day, the next day he sells it, and the day after that it's the handover's done. There will be obligations that Evans himself needs to do housekeeping. As in within everyone, there will be housekeeping that needs to be sorted out before any handover is given. There will need to be housekeeping done. So therefore, for all we know, these new owners, I mean, there's a picture that Stephen, I think, retweeted on Twitter earlier. That within that, with that, I think it's the. What is it?
See that, look, David Hughes there. People saying he needs to be honest. What if he is? Are you swallowing that fucking statement, then, David? Because I'm not. Don't be fooled by Marcus. He's trying to play the. Oh look, I'll do this to the ground. All this bollocks. Where have you been? The Bobby Robson stand, the roof on that was left to fucking rot for years.
All you need to think about is last week. Well, not even last week. This week, we got told by Leo O'Neill, his lapdog, that Evans has said it'll take as much time as needed to put him. Less than 24 hours later, less than that, we had Cook through the doors at Duncanhall Hotel in Accrington. Like things are done behind the scenes that don't get published out to fans.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting, Curtis, when Lee O'Neill was talking, and he was even mentioned Paul Cook's name. Where have you ever seen when a club are looking for prospective managers that they'd actually mention the new manager's name? They wouldn't say it, would you?
Well,
nonsense.
I mean, Lambert said it in one of his last interviews. Without being funny, Lambert knew there was something going on. He knew there was. He didn't even need to get prompted with that. He knew there was something going on. So
see that comment there, Martin was saying in the chat before we come on about he might be hanging out for more money because obviously in a few more months, like you said, Martin, we could be a championship club.
Yeah, we could. Paul Lambert has left us in the best position he possibly can.
But in those few months that he might be wanting to wait, he's going to lose more and more.
Hang on. He's still got it. You know, he's getting out.
I can't reach it. I can't reach him. He's just out of reach. How poignant is that? He's just out of reach.
You won't be out of reach for much longer. Don't worry.
He won't. But yeah, Craig Mears. Does anyone think anyone's holding out to say how much value get something can do for the rest of the season, drive the value up? Don't know. Okay, thoughts on that?
Let's face it. There's a reason why he's keeping the 5% within the club, because in the case of any promotion that we might have, whether that be it from the Championship to the Premier League, there's a reason why he's keeping that. So why would you want to keep? Without being funny, if you had a business and you were losing, according to the price of football on Twitter, and you were losing money like it has been doing for so long. If someone came in and went, I'll give you the club value for what it is. Like, you can get out and you can also retain 5% if we have any success in the future. You're going to take it. What's the point in leaving it a few more months? You're not going to gain that much more money for the club. You're not got it.
All right. Take a breath. I'll bring Jimmy Bullard in. Jimmy, what do you think?
Like Crunch, I think it's all smoke and mirrors. I don't buy this. You know, I'll wait till I get. There's no guarantee we'll go up. Let's be fair. You know, and if he turns it down, they go away. And we don't know how long it's going to be before another owner comes along. He doesn't know how long it's going to be before another owner comes along. He'd just be cutting his nose off to spite his face, and he isn't that thick. You know, like we think he's that thick, but he's not. That was a well-worded, nothing statement. It said everything, but you know, like, I'm selling the club if the right offer came along, but I'm not selling the club. Well, what the hell does that mean? It means if a right offer comes along, according to that, he could have even sold the club. You can't sell something you don't own. He might already have sold it. I can say,
but then the statement would be pointless, wouldn't it? The statement would be pointless, though, wouldn't it?
Not necessarily. Not in the context we're looking at it.
If he's already sold it, you wouldn't make a statement saying, I'm not selling it. That's like me saying...
No, but it's not been announced.
I'm not selling the Eiffel Tower. I don't own the fucking Eiffel Tower. I never have owned the Eiffel Tower. But if I said I'm not going to sell it...
You can still say it. Doesn't mean...
Yeah, but as Tweedy says here, he's very straightforward and direct. He's not selling it. That's unusual for him. Makes Tweedy kind of believe him.
In my point. You almost understand that. If he's already sold it,
talk to me.
You can't sell it because he's sold it. You can't sell something twice. What I'm saying is, if everything's been agreed and he's agreed a price and everything's with the EFL, effectively he's sold it. If he turns around, I'm not going to sell it. He can't sell it twice. He's already flogged it.
All right. So Curtis, he's already flogged it. Let's say he's already flogged it. Let's go with that. What sort of narrative is that setting up in the next 28, 24, 48, 4 days, 4 weeks, 10 years? Like, when eventually he has to break the news to the fan base that he's either sold it completely or is now a minority owner or whatever. What sort of narrative is he painting with if he's already sold it?
It's the same narrative he's given us since he took charge of the club. It's the same narrative he's given us since he took charge of the club. Like I say, give Lapdog Lee. You only have to look back this week. Evans is like you can't tell me Cook wasn't pretty much signing the dotted line whilst Lee was giving that interview. You're telling me within the space of those like 24 hours, Cook then was doing all these Zoom calls with Gary Roberts from Accrington, who was probably in the starting lineup against us. You can't tell me in under 24 hours all this was still in the works. It's not a chance. This was all sorted whilst Lapdog Lee was giving his all to the club's press.
Lapdog Lee.
It was.
That comment there from Lewis did you just put that comment back up from Lewis, Martin, on the screen there?
What's he got to lose? Never respect him to start with.
We never respected him, and Marcus doesn't respect us. He doesn't because he's lied to us before.
I'm just desperate for him to go. I'm desperate for him. I'm just desperate for him to go. And I read it and I thought he was trying to play on heartstrings. And I'm thinking, if the fan base is in a 7th position, looking up, Paul Cook in charge, feel good factor, and they're going to start buying it. I just didn't want to. I don't want any part of it.
Statement in December, Martin, that he put out, which was a load of fucking phony, wasn't it? I don't like these statements. This is why it's never sat well with me, guys. When it took us 7 years to actually see who he was, and he's still hiding now. How many interviews, Martin, has he actually done face to face? 2, 3,
and it's always with the club press, is it not?
Pre-planned, yeah. Spot on, Curtis.
You know, I have one big issue. Yeah, you know, when all these rumours, I said
that fire alarm.
When all these rumours started floating around in the press and on Twitter, yeah, Marcus Evans could have gone on. He could have done this then. He could have done all this then. It's not true. It's bullshit. Shut up and shut it all down. Now it's snowballed out of control. Yeah. Now, if there's nothing to it, yeah, he's got a big problem. He's got a whole fan base who's like going to be mega pissed with him. Mega pissed. If he thinks anyone's
look at tonight,
he can
on social media tonight, Stephen. Look at the meltdown on there. Everyone's high as a kite after yesterday.
It's next season. He can laugh. Yeah.
Gov, you look and sound disheartened. I think you believe him. With Marcus Evans, I don't know what to believe. That's the God's truth of it. He can wake up one day and think, yeah, it's Marcus Evans. Nobody knows. It's always been my issue with Marcus Evans Crunch. Nobody knows the true man, and nobody knows really what to believe. It's always been smoke and mirrors, and this could be a what is that film where Wolf of Wall Street? I ain't fucking leaving. This could be that moment where he's sort of declaring it, and I
remember. Yeah.
I'm desperate for him to go. I couldn't be more desperate for somebody else to get out of my football club if I tried. I'm going to lay out on the line, flat out.
One huge deflection, and he's gone tomorrow. It's announced tomorrow at the club, and it's one deflection, so he doesn't have to do anything.
But for a moment, flip it. Could also be him saying he's not going. Now, tell me how you feel.
He's got a very angry fan base.
Well, think about selling the training ground. Like, I saw a comment before saying this might be Evans trying to free up some funds. Let's go back to the comment that Rich said earlier. Like, how rich is this man? He does not need to free up funds. He is still a very, very wealthy man. He does not need to free up. Doesn't need to free up anything. And if anything, if he was to then sell the club in the future, say, "Oh, this is a load of bollocks," which it isn't. If he then sells the club in the future, that's one less asset that he can't recoup any more money from, or because he's already sold it. It would make no sense to have all these different assets of the club then spread apart, because then his share is just getting weaker and weaker.
All I'm saying is I don't see the logical time frame. Yeah, if he wasn't going to sell, what is the point of getting rid of Lambert? Keep Lambert. He was your shield. The fans were angry at Lambert. Yeah, Paul Cook's coming. Fans aren't going to be angry with Paul Cook, no matter what happens this season. All the anger, as soon as we go back next season, will be on Marcus Evans. It'll be get out. Blue Action will be Marcus Evans out. None of them will be Paul Cook get out. It'll all be Marcus Evans get out. This is where the anger is going to be directed to now. He's going to have to realise the anger is going to be on him, not on the manager. He's got no little deflector now because everybody wants Paul Cook. So all the anger is going to be on Marcus Evans.
Okay.
That's alone.
I appreciate you, Steve. Let's bring in. I do appreciate you, Stephen. I really do. Let's bring in Fisherman. What do you want to say to yourself tonight, Fisherman?
Good evening, guys. How you doing? All right?
Absolutely fine. Yeah, absolutely. Lots of different things floating around. As in, the guy who broke the story is not going to throw his career away. Correct. We obviously had the guy on the podcast on Monday. Yes, spot on. But this is a fan forum. This is where we come to discuss town news. So I might think the takeover's going through. Crunch might think it's not going through. That's why we're here discussing it. That's why we're going live. See lots of comments tonight, you see, saying, why would you be discussing it when you so-and-so and so-and-so? In my experience, those in the know don't say, and those that don't know shout loudly. So, a lot of people on Twitter tonight saying what they think, etc. Come have a conversation here.
Yeah, I'm one of them. Yeah.
Speak, my man. What do you know?
I just don't know what to believe anymore. The trouble is with Evans is his track record of telling us fans what he thinks we want to hear and what he actually does. Two things. For me, Evans, this club isn't going to be sold until after the season's finished. That's my gut feeling on it. And all the I've not seen any proof of NDAs being signed. I've not seen any proof of stuff. This ground being sort of investigated. Where's the evidence? I've spent all day when I'm not doing nothing, just trying to find all this information out.
There is a picture regarding the searches of the ground, and they've got the company involved. Is it Game Changer Limited? They've got until April 7th to conduct their search. They've got a certain.
There's nothing on there. I couldn't find anything. I'm not saying it's not. But again, I'm just saying, where is all this proof? We talk about speculation. I mean, look, yeah, you're right. Journalists, but the trouble is, journalists, their job is to dig and dig and dig and sometimes exaggerate. Turn a mountain, a molehill into a mountain.
This isn't the Sun we're talking about here. This is the Athletic.
Yeah, and there's still journos.
Yeah, but I think when they have something on there, the Sun talks absolute bollocks. But if something comes out of there, I tend to think, yeah, there's a bit of there's something to that. I really do. Look, that's spot on there, ITF's Tweedy. it is wearing people out. You know, it is like a roller coaster. We're as high as a kite last night. Then this evening we're back on the floor.
But isn't that what Evans brings to the table, though?
Yeah, that's why he needs to fuck off.
Oh God, doesn't he? Everything that Evans does is like it just drains us as fans. I mean, what is this? Oh, you know, like we're all fans thing. He put in his statement tonight. I mean, fuck off. You ain't a fan of this club. Not one bit. You'd have put millions more into it. You'd have invested when we needed the money to be invested. You're an absolute joke of an owner. You know, I'm frustrated, I think, as a fan more than anything, like the rest of us. I know, okay, yeah, you could argue that things mustn't be said and all that, but then why waste time putting out a poxy fucking statement like that when you've got, you know, just to wind us? Is it just to wind us fans up? Is it just to wind us up?
He's trolling us, Mike.
Oh, it feels like it.
Trolled by the owner.
I mean, what, you know, just go, Evans. Nobody wants you here anymore. You know,
well,
nobody wants you.
That's spot on. He's not been wanted here for a long while, has he?
No. I mean,
and like I said, Mike, if Marcus Evans stays at this club, in 2 years' time, we'll be having the same conversation about Paul Cook that we had about Paul Lambert, and it all comes down to one person. Look, Lambert made a shit job of it. I think we'll all agree with that. It wasn't all down to him. It was not all down to him. No. It's down to the owner. At the end of the day, the buck stops with him. This is why we're in the fucking, not League One, we're in the 3rd division. Because of you, Marcus. Because you didn't fucking invest. You underfunded. You had a good manager in Mick. Why did Mick... I know you don't like it, Mike, when he told us to F off at Norwich. Why did he do that? Why did he do that? Because he was frustrated. Because the owner is he was. The owner is the one.
Just put a dagger through my heart.
He was hiding in the background. Mick was taking all the flack with all these fucking Mustafa Carriel and shit signings like that, you know.
Giles Coke. Don't forget the legend that is Giles Coke.
Well, what was it? Traore?
Traore.
That was all down to you were underfunded because the owner, Mick, got frustrated with Evans. Evans was hiding in the background and Mick took the flack. We can go back all over. We don't want to keep going up. This is what we want to do. We want to drive the club forward. And while we've got Marcus as an owner, we won't be going forward.
No.
Stagnating. No. That's what we'll be doing.
That's what I'm worried about. I think, isn't it? Aren't we as fans? This is why it's
Ben Pringle
tonight, and why Twitter has gone mad,
and why
you know,
and
why
Douglas. This is it. This is the history I wanted to talk about under Marcus Evans, because let's be bloody Ben Pringle, Jonathan Douglas. I mean, you know, we could go on, couldn't we, with these names of players that Tommy Orr. Where art thou, Tommy Orr?
Hawkins. Or Porkins, as I call him. You know.
Well, don't forget your two, Crunch. Sears and Drinnan.
Oh, my days. Someone put a post up in...
Get him out, fucking... We ain't going nowhere with shit like this.
Bajna.
No Bajna, no party. 45 minutes. Did he play 45 minutes, Martin? Was that it?
Sorry?
Did he play? No, he played 43 minutes, didn't he, Bajna, against Fulham in that first game? So I always remember Mick came out and
the day I got married.
You know what Mick said? He only played 43 minutes. He was goosed. I thought, fuck me, he's a professional footballer.
He was goosed.
Did you see that? Did you see that post in the what's the name about who's the better player, Sears or Drinnan? And there was like options, poll options. Yeah. I said a dead donkey, and I voted for it. Because quite frankly, neither of them are much good.
Hang on. We've got Curtis on the line today, and Curtis has put a rather good tweet out this evening that I wanted to reply to, but I didn't get time because I was having a lovely curry, homemade. Curtis,
chicken?
You're talking about turkey. I'm more of a turkey fan than a chicken fan. Slightly more expensive, but a better quality of anyway. This is not Gordon Ramsay's Power Hour. Kurt, talk to me about your Drinnan tweet as we're on the subject of Drinnan.
Listen, we all know he's not good enough to be starting for this club, and in most cases, he's not good enough to probably be anywhere near this first team squad. But this goes back to Evans. It goes back to Evans. The underfunded first team squad means that we have to rely on the likes of Drinan to be our backup striker. This is without being funny. Without being funny. A young lad who probably this season thought he may get a few sub appearances, probably even thought he might get a few chances in the EFL Cup. But the fact is, he's been forced into a position where he kind of does what he can with the very little quality that he has. Now, whether that might come with games, but I mean, we watched the game last night where he tried to burn it through Stanley's defence. And to be honest, in my opinion, I didn't really have anything wrong with what he tried to do. We all know strikers are supposed to be selfish. We all know they're supposed to be selfish. So if he was burning it through on goal, if it was anyone else, for example, Norwood, he'd be getting it 10 times as much as well. It's just unfortunate that, again, a bit like a few people in that squad, he lacks the final bit, and he's kind of ran a bit too far and then realised he has to cut it across. I think, in my opinion, he gets a bit of unwarranted flack. Bearing in mind, this is a young lad who, in a normal club circumstances, wouldn't be anywhere near a squad. But due to Evans underfunding us, we have to deal with what we've got. I mean, let's face it, Hawkins would be in front of him. He would be. Chris Martin, put that word thing. I was just about to finish reading. Yeah, he is right. Absolutely. At Sutton United, I was talking to one of their fans on social media, and they said that he was shit there. So Drinan isn't good enough. He isn't. Not for level. Not for this league. Very true, but our backup striker department is very, very depleted. Unless you then want to start shoving untested youngsters like your Tyrese Simpson in, or you want to put in your Zach Browns, like you want to even recall your Ben Falami, who again I don't think Ben Falami was ever any good enough when I saw him. We are very,
and it all comes to the owners, Curtis. Yeah. It all comes back to the owner, because in the summer, who are we linked with, Martin?
Charlie White. We were linked with Johnson Clark Harris.
Charlie White. Look where they are. Look at the scoring charts. And we got Ollie Hawkins. Where is he?
He's currently injured, isn't he? But don't forget we signed Cole Skuse to a contract extension.
Yeah.
Such a moment. I'll bring in, I don't know where Mike's gone. I'll bring in Lee. Lee, welcome in, my man. How you doing?
Oh, all right. What the fuck's going on, eh?
Well, as someone said in the chat earlier, we've had a couple of highs, a win, a new manager that everyone sees as the arrows pointing up for the first time. And that's the first appointment Marcus Evans has made, I feel, where the arrow is pointing up on somebody. Normally it's Paul Jewell, Roy Keane. They're always near managers. This one's a real good appointment. And then he decides, right, that's too much of a good thing. Let's pull the rug and,
Well, I agree with Crunch. I mean, we'll be in 2 years. If there's no proper investment, we'll be here in 2 years' time. Paul Cook can't work miracles either, can he?
Exactly.
He's got to. If we look in 5 transfer windows, and Paul Cook has still got the same players that Lambert had, that isn't going to change, is it? We've just been talking about Drinan and these other players. So, 5 transfer windows in, you should have a completely new team. But we don't get that with Marcus Evans anymore, do we? Just going back to him, I mean, listening to what everyone's saying and everything, I think some of us have been a little bit more cautious, not too much, and we all want it to happen. But, listening, just reading some of the text, I mean, we might think it's all rubbish, but he sort of said he hasn't had any new offers in the last 12 months. So that means either that this American consortium has not made an offer, which would go against what the guy from The Athletic was saying, or they'd made an offer previously. I don't see how he would come out and say that. He's got nothing to gain by lying, has he? That statement was not an interview. It was a prepared statement. He could have welcomed Cook, said thank you to Lambert, and left the statement there. So why has he come out and said these extra things if he's going to lie?
I don't know.
My experience of people lying is, instead of lying, they don't say anything. So that's where I'm sort of stuck with it. I mean, he's not going to come out and just upset the fans. He wouldn't do that.
You know what he would? It's Marcus Evans. It's in his play. It's what he does.
He's not he's not sitting there in Ben's big brown chair, is he? Sort of with his little.
No,
white
but I bet
cat
he
sort of
sat
working
somewhere
out what he's
watching
gonna-
this.
But
I bet he sat somewhere watching this.
yeah, probably with a bigger brown chair than Ben, but maybe. But you know,
Is that what
I just-
is that what we value somebody at? Is it how big their brown chair is?
chair?
Is that what
yeah,
we
but
determine?
It's a magnificent chair, isn't it? You know.
So the new owners, if we get new owners, need to have great big brown chairs. Otherwise,
Hasn't Marcus Evans got that picture of Marcus Evans in his boardroom like this? Hasn't he got one of those big brown chair? But anyway, so
Possibly
I
has,
just
yeah.
think there's obviously something in it, but I think negotiations are probably still ongoing, and I think we've all got on a crest of a wave. You know, saying that there's even people saying that this consortium were the ones that wanted Cook appointed. Well, that clearly isn't true with this statement, is it? Regardless of whether we believe it all, there's no done deal. There's no done deal, is there? I don't think there is. Even if he's got to hide it and not say anything, there's still, if there was something in the background really close, he would have chopped that statement at the point of Welton and Cook, and that to me was where it would have ended. I think it's just two things that come together at the same time, and we've all jumped on it. We all want to see the back of Evans. We all want this, the club to move forward, but again, I don't see it. I mean, he could be using it as a bargaining chip, couldn't he? Like bartering with each other in public. You've got the American consortium liking all the tweets, getting us all excited and happy and thinking there's someone coming in, try and put pressure on Evans. And then you've got Evans saying, what if the right deal comes along? There's got to be the right investment. I mean, he has said that all along, hasn't he? He didn't want to sell the club out. So he could walk away tomorrow. He could sell that to someone if he wanted to for 50 pence. So there's got to be a little bit of credit in terms of, selling it to the right person. We don't want to end up like Bolton, do we? We want to live the dream, and fans live the dream. But the reality is, these people are business people. And I think the only thing I agree with Evans is that he doesn't want to sell the club to somebody that hasn't got the long-term future of the club. I think that part of the statement, that's the only bit that I think has got some credit to it in that point. Mm-hmm. But it's just a fucking mess, isn't it? Sorry,
I do get what you're saying there, Lee. But then you'd spin it round and say, did David Sheepshanks think that, Martin, when he was selling to Marcus, that Marcus was the right person?
Yeah, but the club was just come out of receivership, hadn't it? He gave the club long-term stability. That's probably because Marcus is saying that now, isn't it? So I reckon that when he bought the club, he went to Sheepshanks and said, look, I'm here for the long term. I've got this plan. Look, I can invest this much over so many years. I can keep the club on a stable foot. And then I can invest this amount each season to try and get us up, all that sort of thing. But, so I think he generally does have the long-term interest of the club at heart. Otherwise, he could have blown more money at it a few years ago and then just walked away. But he could sell that club for £1, couldn't he? He could sell it for somebody. He could give it away almost, because it's happened in the past. So
he won't do that, though, will he?
No, of course he wouldn't, because he's got his money involved. But and is he not hanging out? As I tweeted the other day, didn't I? When someone that I knew from the club or knew of from the club, I got some information about Evans was holding out because of this season. He's going to see what Paul Cook does. I mean, if we got into the Championship, would he get another 10 million? I don't know. I'm not part of that. So, are you going to hold out? It's like buying a car, isn't it? If you're going to buy a car and it's got no wheels on it, and then you sell a car with wheels on it, you're probably going to get £3 more. That's just my thought. That's just
what you said, mine, didn't you? If he holds out now, Lee, he's going to. If we did get up, the club's going to be worth more in the Championship. But then, on the other hand, if he doesn't sell and we go into the Championship, he's going to have to invest more money to get us. Look, this squad at the minute, if we got promoted with this squad, we're nowhere near good enough for the Championship. And I know there's going to be, what is it? Is it 7 million TV money? You'll get that back.
9.
Is
they
it
said
9?
9. Well, they made something saying 9, then quickly changed it to 7, so they can't quite make their mind up about what narrative they want to strive for that one either.
But we all know if he's here, we're not moving forward as a football club.
No, well, absolutely. But he will still say that, he'll probably hang on the thing that he's still got that long-term investment. He'll put his 5-6 million in a year, whatever that may be, and he'll say, well, yeah, we'll go into the Championship. We'll I mean, we've been on a low budget anyway. I mean, we've been on the bottom end of the.
I think we're fourth lowest.
Yeah, and in the end, money talks, doesn't it? I mean, it does. But I mean, another thing that I was thinking the other day as well. If you look at this American consortium, they've got billions of pounds somewhere as well. If they buy us for what was it quoted as 15 million or whatever? No, it was low, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If you only invest 15 million, if you've got hundreds of millions and you only put 15 million into it, it's short change to them. If it goes wrong, well, we've lost a few million, we'll walk away. Because it's not a big investment. You know, if I put all my money into all my savings into something, you're going to make it work, aren't you? If you're only putting a fraction of your savings or money into something,
yeah, but it's
a gamble, isn't it? Like shares, you know, if you buy shares,
yeah, but isn't it a consortium of people that want to? It's they're seeing it as an investment. For all the things I've read online, it's like the pension pot fund, I think was mentioned, for example. Like that's an investment, Lee. That's not somebody just going down corals and putting pound on an accumulator. And if it goes home, brilliant. If it doesn't, they want a return on this investment, yes, but you don't get a return on the investment sat in League One. You don't get a return plan Stanley last night. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So if you're one step closer to the promised land, you're going to have to pay a little bit more for it, aren't you? And if you're Evans, you're going to get a little bit more for it if we're in the Championship next season, because you're only one step away. I mean, if you're stuck in League One, you've got to buy League One players to get out, so that you've then got to reinvest from League One into the Championship. Because unless you did what Portsmouth did a few years ago when they, before they went tits up, didn't they? When they won the FA Cup and that, when that owner took over in League One, I think they're in League One then, weren't they? But they invested an awful lot of money to buy Championship players to get them up. But we wouldn't be that. I mean, I'm not sure that happened now. We would be buying League One players, or they would be buying League One players to get out of League One, and then they have to then reinvest again. But if they're in the Championship, they can attract the Championship players. So they don't have to invest twice. That's probably why they're trying to get the club on the cheap. But it's, I mean, who knows? Who knows? But
comment here, unless the institution is looking to establish itself in the sport.
In what?
Well, maybe they're looking to lay down roots and.
But
we are a good football club. We've been conditioned for 13 years, Lee, to think badly about ourselves. Like we are little old Ipswich that nobody could ever want or love us. Actually, we are an historic football team, as Sky told us. It's the stately home of English football. You've got 9,000 season ticket holders in the third tier in a pandemic when we weren't even sure if we were going to see a game of football. You name me another League One team that can do that after 13 years of absolute crap. Like, we are conditioned by this ownership to think badly about ourselves when we need to start flipping it and thinking, why wouldn't somebody want to come in, invest their money or somebody else's money into our football club and take us to places where we all dream of taking?
Yeah, the brand is there, isn't it? So the brand, I mean, when you buy a business, a lot of the time you buy the brand. You don't necessarily buy the nuts and bolts. You buy, you buy the goodwill of the company. The goodwill is worth as much as anything. If you're going to buy Birdseye, you're buying the brand, aren't you? So we do have a brand as Ipswich. There's no doubt. And when you look at it, you look at the potential. So they probably looked at Ipswich. They could choose other clubs, couldn't they? This consortium, whoever is bidding on the club.
But what other clubs in English football are there to choose from? Like, you give me another club that's as good as Ipswich Town, that's in the right location as Ipswich Town, that's got the fan base of Ipswich Town.
Sunderland.
They've just been bought.
Well, but you asked me.
Okay, fair point. Yeah.
Clubs, but not in the. So they'll attract us because we're in the third tier. So they're going to try and get us on the cheap, aren't they? I suppose. But we have the potential. Like was said earlier, 5,000 I follow. That doesn't seem a lot when you're talking about millions of Sky and everything, but that means 5,000 people
wanted to watch us play at Accrington Stanley. Now flip that and say tomorrow.
Yesterday,
so flip that and say yesterday we were playing a top 6 clash against QPR. 5,000 still, or 10,000 crunch, or 11,000, or 7,000, or the number goes up the better you are, right?
Oh yeah. Look, that's
it's in their interest.
Highest in League One this season, so it's not to be sniffed at. And you think, yeah, that's 5,000 mine, but then how many other people live in them households? So it's more than 5,000. But yeah, the higher leagues you go, the more people you're going to get
You see, there you go, Louis Sharp. I was listening to TalkSport today. Ashley wants 350 for Newcastle. If they go down, Newcastle 150. So they'll flip that the other way around, as Lee's been rightly saying. If Town are worth whatever they're going to be paying for it, whoever's paying for it, let's say 50p, suddenly, Curtis, your business, if it's gone up in another gear, as your business has been, well done, by the way, my man. You've been absolutely smashing it out of the park. I'm sure my commission's in the post. You're going to go from 50p to £1.50, aren't you?
Is it worth the risk? Is it worth the risk? Because you put, let's face it, you put in, no fan this season is expecting Cook to get the playoffs. We weren't expecting it. We were, but if he didn't, we wouldn't be lambasting him, would we, at the end of the season? We wouldn't be lambasting him for not doing it because we've got very low expectation this season. In the same sense, if you think about it from Evan's point of view, he would then be putting all his eggs in one basket to then hope that Cook is going to be the man to give us win to try and get us up to the Championship, which could happen. We could get second. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility, but then our best chance is to get the playoffs, which, as everyone said the other day, it's a lottery. It doesn't matter whether you put third against sixth, fourth against fifth. Each team goes into that the same quality. It can happen. You can either go up or you're going to stay in your division. Is it worth having an offer there on the table and then going, tell you what, I might give it a miss? Because in a few months' time, that consortium might just go, tell you what, mate, like leave it then. We'll go to someone else because there'll be another club who will take the investment, especially after what's going on in the world right now. There'll be another club who want that investment. All you've got to do is look at that statement tonight. Look at the statement, what he said, and I can tell you now it's a barefaced lie. And this is what this will hopefully put a lot of people and just calm them down. Look at what he said. He talks there how 10% is within shareholders. And if there was ever anything to happen with regards to takeover, it'd be very transparent. Out of those 10% of shareholders, has he ever told you about anything that's going on in the club? Has he ever told you about any decisions within the club? So why is he coming out? Why is he coming out now and saying, with regards to a takeover, I'd let you know first, and then he comes out with another comment. He believes this is a side which not only can get promotion, but can fight safely in the Championship. Not a chance. This is, if you look at the base of the squad, it's the same squad that got us down. So how can you tell me that this is a squad that would be quite easily fighting it out in the Championship? All he says there in that statement is lies. He's lying.
Well, did you like the suddenly the 10% crunch? They're suddenly valuable to him again after years of ignoring them. Suddenly he's bringing them out like I've not diluted the 10%. No, you just fucking ignored it for the last 13 years instead.
Like Curtis, we're talking about a man here, Curtis, who you can't even get a line of communication with your own supporters club.
Mm-hmm.
So why believe anything that comes out of his fucking mouth? Or
I just worry. Do you worry, Rich, that as I've used this term before, he's the man at the blackjack table. He's already £100 million down. This club could be going up. So what's 2 months to him to see? And then, because as Matt Slater said to us on Monday, clubs are always for sale. People are always looking to buy a football club. Some are not as serious as others, but people are always sort of sniffing around, gauging interest. In Evans's case, he's already 100 million down. Is he going to chase a loss here, or to try and be a hero, or and say, "Look, I sacked Lambert, I got Paul Cook in. Look how amazing I am." Or is he going? Or is he? I don't know what he's doing. This is the thing.
No one knows. No one knows.
So what do you think about that scenario there? I've just laid out for you.
I don't know. You're right with saying going back to how we're conditioned as fans, because that's become over 13 years of. It's like when you're in a relationship and it's just dragging you down, but you're staying in it, and you're thinking, "Oh, yeah, it is." It's like a long relationship it's run its course, but you're still hanging around. You're still just thinking, I don't really want to leave.
Okay. Let's get a new voice. George, welcome in. You there, George? Hello, mate. Tell us, right, what's on your mind? Marcus Evans' statement. What are you thinking?
I think that there's something definitely in it, because the Athletic wouldn't report it, and those were the days wouldn't report it if there's nothing in it.
Nothing in what? The owner may have been entertaining offers. He may have been speaking to people, but he's quite clearly come out tonight and said, George, it's not for sale. This owner's not for turning.
I just think that is saying that. I do think that there is an offer that's been put through, because these reporters wouldn't just all come up with a story.
So why? Yeah, I know. I'm not Crunch. I'm not disagreeing with George. I just don't.
That's a good comment there from Mark. I just mentioned that if Evans doesn't have a buyer and we go up, how many millions of pounds is next year going to cost him? Because it is. If we go up this year and he's still the owner next year, he's got to put a lot of money in. He has to. Because otherwise we'll just come straight back down.
He's going to. He's going to put a nice little graphic on the side of the copboard stand, some new PA systems. He'll do all of these things, and then you'll say, right then, Mr. Owner, what about a striker? And he'll go, oh, there's no money left. I've spent it on the contactless payments. That's who he is.
Did you see Matt Slater's put out a tweet saying there's a guy, there speaks a guy who signed a non-disclosure agreement, and he also confirms my story about being more than one offer.
Yeah, and he says that, you know, there are more than one offer on the table, and I think a lot of it is Marcus speaking to the fans. The tone of it got me a little bit. Has he ever addressed us all as fellow fans? I can't remember. Perhaps I don't pay attention to his words anymore, but I just don't remember a time where he started a statement, Crunch, fellow fan. Like he's trying to position himself as one of us already.
He's not one of us, is he?
Well, he's trying to with fellow fan.
He can try all he wants. He's not pulling the wool over my eyes. No chance.
He's always said he's a fan, isn't he? He's always said that, but I don't know whether he's addressed letters like that before. But he's always come across as a fan.
I tried asking Statman, but Statman said that's too niche. I was going too niche for Stephen Statman. Bless him. All right, guys, look. We'll end it there because we're live again tomorrow night. So we'll pick it up again. We'll unpack what happens in the next 24 hours, if anything. As somebody says, who trusts Marcus? Certainly not me. And that's part of the problem, isn't it, Rich? That we don't. Like, he has us all on strings because he's kept us all at arm's length.
Pinch of salt in it. When you read that statement, it's like, there's another one. Like the one in December and then the one before that. And I think, just piss off.
Absolutely. Stuart, Josh, join me tomorrow and you can get on first. I absolutely promise you that. I'm terribly sorry we didn't get you on tonight. Lee, George, Yatesy, great as always. Cruncher, fantastic. We're back live tomorrow night, 8:30. Joining me tomorrow night are two wonderful people, of course. First and foremost, the fisherman, Mike Brown, and Hawks. He's going to be checking his windows, I think.
Windows cleaned.
Yeah, it was an have to, isn't he?
And it was only 12.
Can I ask something quickly?
Of course you can, George. Anything you like.
Have you this might sound stupid, but have you contacted the club to see if you can get Marcus on here?
He's like the A-team, George. If you know who he is, and if you can find him.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
That's my motto, Lee.
He's trademarked that. You can't take that one. But no, yeah, Christopher Martin. Look, I just got such a glare on Mrs. Heard you say you're live against. Yeah, well, you want to live in my house, Chris.
We tried to get Lee O'Neill on, but he was busy, wasn't he? Trying to search for that new manager.
No, busy with the traction control of the grass, looking at the wide
busy up Evans' on it.
He needs a haircut, doesn't he? He needs a haircut, does Lee O'Neill.
He does.
We all need a haircut, Lee. Look at this, Barnett. Look at this.
I know, mate.
And I better go and rescue my marriage. So I love you all. I'm off to try and rescue it. I'm going for my own rescue package. With love, with care. See you all tomorrow, 8:30.